Hi traders, this is Cynthia of Day Trade Forex, and in this video I'd like to show you the new features we added to my trade button EA, which is my trailing stop trade management expert advisor, and also the currency strength meter. So I'd like to show you the two upgrades that we just recently made, and this video is to show you how to use them. First of all, for the trade button, now if you click the top part of the button here and you can drag it anywhere and it follows. It's a little bit lagging, maybe 1 second, but I don't think it makes too much difference. So you can just drag it and put it anywhere that you like it and it'll follow. And same for the currency strength meter. So now you can drag it on your chart, drag it anywhere you want to put it, and what this does is it gives you room in the top left corner for adding one of my other indicators that people happen to like very much, and I think it's actually a very important addition to any template, and that's my average daily range indicator. So here it is, Cynthia's daily range. So just left mouse click it and drag it to the chart, and there's no inputs that you need to change, no colors you need to change, so just drag it. Although, well, the color is white on a chart. It doesn't show up very well on this light gray, but it shows up well on maybe darker background templates. So this is the average daily range, which I like to use actually in conjunction with the currency strength meter, and the reason why is the currency strength meter is showing you immediate current strengths and weaknesses of each of these currencies. You know by now the idea is that we pair up the weak currency with the strong currency, and we're interested in medium type values, not blue, which is very, very weak, or red, which is very, very strong. It's better to pair up the orange with the yellow, or the blue with the orange, or sometimes the red with the yellow. So right now is middle of the day, so there aren't a lot of differences. Some of these currency pairs are pretty flat right now. But because these currency strengths and weaknesses are reflecting immediate strength and weakness of each of these currencies, sometimes when you go to look at a pair, you need a little more information if you are swing trading or sometimes day trading. The currency strength meter, because it's showing immediate currency strength and weakness, and by the way, it doesn't matter what chart you place this on. I could change this chart to anything and the strength meter is going to be exactly the same values, the same colors, the same strength, the same weaknesses, because it's not pulling any information from the time frame that it's on. It's pulling information directly from what the currencies are doing at this moment. So for this reason, the currency strength meter is better suited for scalping and day trading. However, I do use it for swing trading, but you need to look at the higher time frames to make sure that whatever strength or weakness you see in the currency strength meter is reflected in the higher time frames, because that's what the major trend is. This is showing you immediate trend, but immediate trend could be a pullback, short-term price action. So if you want to swing trade using this, you can, but I use it for retracement trading. So for instance, I'm looking at the pound New Zealand. If I were to look at a daily chart, which I had it before, it's showing me that the candle for the day is up, and the candles for the last 4 days have also been up. So this currency pair is on an uptrend, but the price is pretty high right now at the top of the candle, so I can't just jump in without knowing if it's in a retracement, because I don't want to be caught in a retracement drawdown. I like the pair to move in my desired direction immediately and avoid the drawdown. So the only way I can do that is to go down to the lower time frames and see if it's in a drawdown, see what the price action is right now. So on a 1 hour chart, it's in consolidation in overbought territory with the big red arrow. This could be a temporary situation where the price needs to pull back a little bit before it can continue to go higher. But 5 days of an uptrend is a pretty long uptrend, usually without some kind of consolidation and retracement. So I can see right now that if I wanted to buy long, I would probably encounter some kind of drawdown before it ever started to go back up again. So I would not actually be considering buying long, even though the daily candle is green. And we can see retracement a little better and consolidation a little bit better. Here in the 30-minute chart, you've had several hours of consolidation. And if you look at the 15-minute chart, it's also in the red overbought area until this shows some sign of going back up. Actually, in a 15-minute chart, I need to see it pull back at least to the pivot level. This is the Fibonacci pivot level, which would be a deep enough pullback. And then if it starts going back in the direction of the daily candle, I would enter going long again. So you can see how important it is to be able to look at different time frames. And this is a perfect example. If I wanted to swing trade the pound New Zealand or any other pair, that if the daily candle is showing a trend, you still have to jump down to the lower time frames to see what the consolidation is. This is in a long consolidation period here, and what the pullback is. And the ideal pullback is usually around 50 to 68% Fibonacci level, so that would be right around the pivot level. So the other way to use the currency strength meter is to have my average daily range indicator on your chart, because it tells you the average number of pips for the last 10 days. So over the last 10 days, the average number of pips each day is 167 a day. Today it's 229, so this pair has really moved quite a bit today. And so that's a very nice movement, and you can see on other charts, if you put this indicator onto other charts, you can see what the average daily range happens to be. And especially if you're swing trading, you need to be trading a pair that has an average daily range of, I would say, a minimum of 75 pips a day for the last 10 days. But personally, I like at least 90 pips a day for the last 10 days, and that leaves you with mostly the pound currency pairs to trade. If we look at the pound yen, I haven't added this indicator to this chart because I wanted to wait to show you how to do it. Just drag it over. Now the pound yen usually moves very well, but it's moved only 114.6 pips on average per day for the last 10 days. So it's moved 84 pips today, which is less than the average daily range for the last 10 days. So it's moved less today than it normally does, compared to the pound New Zealand, which has moved more today than it normally does. So you can see that if I want to swing trade, it's important that you pick the pairs that have the highest average daily range. Let's look at the Euro US dollar as an example. The average daily range for the last 10 days is 60 pips a day. That's not very much. And that's a very low moving pair, and people like to trade it, but I don't understand why. It's only moved 45 pips today, And that's really a small range. And unless you're scalping or extremely patient swing trading and just suffering through, I don't know, long drawdowns or slow days, not seeing it gain very many pips per day. I don't know why people like to trade this pair. I really don't. I quit trading it many years ago, and for a long time now I've traded only the pound pairs. Here's the US 500 index, and the average daily range is 280 pips, and today it was 341. So it was an active day for the US 500 index. That's the equivalent to the US S&P 500, the top 500 stocks in the US stock market. The only other thing I wanted to show you was that I didn't show you in a previous video is that I added some scripts, my favorite scripts, to the installer program. So every template that you download has these scripts in them, and the way I use them is if you want to close all of your losing trades, you would just left mouse click this and drag it over to your chart, and all the losing trades for this chart would be closed. If you had a lot of winning trades that you want to close, all winning trades, trades in profit, you would just drag that in and it would close all of your trades that are in profit. If you want to close all of your trades, whether they're winning or losing, just drag it onto the chart, and it didn't pop up, but there's no trades to close. And delete all pending. If you have pending trades for any reason, then you can delete all your pending. It's just with one click. One way I do these is I right mouse click and I click add to favorites. So now under favorites I can add all of my shortcuts that I want to access really quick sometime, and I can add my trade button in there too. Anything that you want to add to favorites that's an EA or a script, you can put it into your favorites, and now it's really easy to just drag it. You don't have to look through all these different things. You can drag anything into favorites you want and have it be very easy to access at some point. That's the movable currency strength meter, and that's the movable trade button. Now, one more thing I wanted to add about the trade button that we've added at the same time was the ability to choose to use a manual lot size instead of use the risk percent, because the default settings, I give you lots of preset files, but the default always is for a scalp setting with the time frame in 15 minutes, and the default setting is set to use risk percent, and default percent of account balance is 2%. Now you can change this, you can make this anything that you want, or if you want to use a manual lot size, you can click this and choose manual lot size. Then you can type in here anything that you want. It doesn't matter. That will be your lot size that will override the risk percent. So now you have a choice of using the manual lot size or using the risk percent, which you can change here. You can make this anything that you want. The only thing I would caution is when you're trading some of these CFDs, they cost a lot more. Each position is very expensive compared to a position in currencies. So you would never use 4% of your account. Your lot sizes for these CFDs would be huge. It's either better to use a manual lot size or just use 1% of your account balance. The other thing is, for my trailing stop settings to work, it's programmed to take 50% of your trade when it hits your desired number of pips. So Whatever this is, first take profit points depending on the set file that you choose. Once it hits this number of pips, it will book 50% of your lot size. Now, in order for it to book 50% of your lot size, your minimum lot size must be 0.02 micro lots. So up here, if you were using a manual lot size and you wanted it to book half of your trade when it reaches a certain number of pips, the smallest lot size, you have to have a 0.02 micro lot as your minimum lot size for it to book half of your trade when it reaches X number of pips. So just keep that in mind, and it doesn't matter if you put 0.03 or 0.04 or 0.05, it's going to round off to 50%. It could round up or down. Now if you use risk percent and your account size is very small and you're only trading 1%, it will not place the trade for you unless it can place a 0.02 micro lot trade. So if your account size is very small and you only have it set at 1% risk, it may not be able to place a 0.02 and it just won't even place the trade. If it ever does not place a trade when you think it should, just go down to your experts tab and check to see what the message is, because it'll tell you why. It'll tell you the spread's too large, or you need to add more money to your account, or you need to increase your lot size. It will give you a message telling you why your trade was not placed. So don't think that if you click the buy or sell button and nothing happens that something's wrong. Nothing's wrong with the trade button. What's wrong, either your account size or your lot size or the spread. The reason why I wanted the use percent risk of account balance to be default at 1 or 2% is because most people trade lot sizes way too big for their account size. If they find themselves with a lot of trades going in the wrong direction, they can use up their available margin and they risk a margin call. And it's important that traders don't trade with lot sizes too big, but the tendency always is, and the reason is it's natural. We want our account to grow as big as possible, as fast as possible, and so we always use lot sizes too big for our account, and then we get in trouble. And lots of people have blown accounts doing that because they're not being smart about their money management, and money management's probably the number one rule, and you have to be a good samurai warrior and be willing to close your losing trades fairly early before it puts your account at risk. And don't put on too many trades at the same time, especially the same pair going in the same direction. That's called averaging into a trade, and I don't believe in that. I've seen more accounts blown because they've done that. So these settings here are designed to keep you out of trouble. So don't get greedy, don't get risky, don't get impatient. Just know that to grow your account safely is much more important. It's not as exciting, but it's safer, and you just need to develop the emotional and mental qualities necessary for, number one, obeying the rules, number two, controlling your emotions, meaning don't be greedy, don't be fearful, and the mental ability to follow the rules. And following the rules, the number one rule in successful forex trading is mature money management. You have to develop those qualities and the trade habits. So if you think that you're always in fear of losing your account because your lot sizes are too big and you have too many trades going at the same time and too many going in the same direction, which the position is going against you, then you have to have the emotional and mental discipline to trade correctly, which is to avoid using lot sizes too big and avoid letting trades run that are going in the wrong direction. And we know that pullbacks are a natural thing, but if you have one or two trades or three trades going in the wrong direction and they're not improving, you have to cut your losses. That's what samurai warrior does, is they cut their losses. So very quickly, cut your losses quick and let your winners run. Well, that's very, very true. This is just an overall of the new features that we have here, in addition to my very long training video on how to use the trade management inside of the trade button here. And even though it's an hour long, I highly recommend that you watch that video, because you have to learn how to choose the set files, and you have to know if you're a scalper, a day trader, or a swing trader, and you have to know how you like to trade, what your best style of trading is for your personality and the number of hours you have to sit, and whether you can concentrate or you get interrupted or you have to go to a job, what time of the day or night you can sit down to trade. All of those things matter. That's why I gave you lots of preset files. If you click load, you have all of these preset files, and there's quick scalp, there's day trade 1, day trade 2, swing 1, swing 2, and all of these are just to get you started. And if you apply any of these to your button, your trade button, and open it up, you'll quickly learn just by comparing the different subfiles what the values are. My other video, my long training video for the trade button, I go into all of these settings. So I'm not going to do that here again, and I encourage you to watch that longer video for the trade management. So that's it for this video, and I hope that you enjoy the new movable buttons and get to learn the preset files depending on if you like to scalp, day trade, or swing trade. If you have any of my other trading systems, you're going to have the average daily range indicator, which I would suggest you drag it onto your chart. Then what I would suggest you do is save your template. So click Save Template, then choose whatever you have, Basic or Pro, and replace it Yes. Now you can go ahead and add this template. Well, let's see. What template did we not add this to? US 30. Okay, there's the US 30. And now we have the average daily range. This is now part of our Pro template. However, now if you want to trade the US 30, that's a CFD, so you have to go in here, click Load, find the US 30. Here it is. Click that. This is a scalp set. And if you don't want to scalp, if you want a day trade or swing trade, you're going to have to change this template, and that affects your average true range stop loss settings. If you use a 1 hour template, it's going to place your stop loss and take profit settings wider. If they're not wide enough for you, change this to 4 hours. If they're too wide for you, change it to 15 minutes. That's a scalp setting, or 30 minutes. So you have to learn how this works. And then you have your scalp settings for this particular CFD. So the only thing that you need to do is decide if you're going to use risk percent, which I highly recommend that, depending on your size account, that you start with 1% to see the lot size, what size it places for you. If it's way too small for your size account, just change this. You can change this to 1.5, test that, see what size, the lot size that it places. And if it's still too small for your account, change it to 2.0. So the larger your account size and the more equity you have, the more percent risk you can use. But for the CFDs, you really have to start at 1% just to test it to see what size lot it places for you. That's actually true for the currencies also. The currencies are set at 2% because that's usually fairly low. As long as your account size allows the buy or sell button to place a minimum of a 0.02 micro lot size, you're going to be fine. Then you can understand how this works and you can adjust them for your account size. So that's it again. Thank you so much for watching, taking the time, and if you have any questions, please just feel free to shoot me an email anytime. I'm always happy to help. Thanks and have a great day.